Yes, hello everyone. Welcome to Lukmaan IS. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 19th April 2022. Okay, let's see which are the important articles. Yes, so these are the important developments, largely mains related articles, and most of the articles they relate to our economy part of the syllabus, both mains as well as prelims examination. So let's understand their relevance. Look at the let's say editorial page and op-ed page articles from mains perspective. Difference between cryptocurrencies and CBDC. Okay, the article is explaining here the difference between the cryptocurrency and central bank digital currencies. So this is the new proposal this year by finance minister to tax the cryptocurrencies transactions in India. At the same time, last year RBI has come up with the proposal that they are going to launch this CBDC, central bank digital currency. Okay, so the article is explaining how this cryptocurrencies are different from CBDCs. There can be question in GS3 paper, economy part. So explaining the differences here, the basics is very important here. We are going to cover that part. Then Sri Lankan crisis and lessons for India. Although we have covered this in ED lecture, editorial discussion, this Sunday itself, right? But yes, we have to cover for in general other students, other viewers from the Hindu newspaper video lecture series. Okay, so we'll cover that. Very good article written on page number 7, and specifically it talks about how we can take lessons from the Sri Lankan crisis, economic crisis that is going on. Okay, yes. Then coordination between center and state on education, especially the higher education. The context here is that recently Tamil Nadu government has proposed that they will devise, or we can say draft, their own state education policy. As we know that education is concurrent subject in the 7th schedule of Indian Constitution. So yes, the states can also devise their own policies, but the only thing is that they needs to be complementary and not let's say controversial, or we can say contradicting to each other. Okay, so that aspect is discussed, very good, let's say written by the expert themselves, so we can take input here. If you remember the name of the writer here, recently we discussed his name as a, let's say, one of the committee recommendation in editorial few days back. Okay? Yes. The process of cartelization on text and context page. This article is explaining the concept of cartelization and how it is detrimental for the economy. Okay, so it can be asked in GS3 paper, economy part, or in prelims examination from general studies perspective, economy part. Okay, and the impact of cartelization we have to understand here and how it is dealt by different governments. All these aspects are explained there. We will talk about that. Then wholesale price inflation climbs to 14.55% in March. Yes, on first page itself it is the news. Last week we have covered CPI inflation, how it has increased to almost 6.9%. It is going to touch 7%, and WPI, okay, wholesale price index has also increased in recent times. Okay, the March data has come out, and we have to understand the trend here and the causing factors, reasons behind it. Finally, practice prelims MCQ. Let's discuss these articles. First, cryptos and CBDCs are not the same thing. Yes, so the differences between these two are explained. It is conceptually very important why both things are in news. First, you should know the context. This year union budget, finance minister had said that the cryptocurrency transactions will be taxed. They will be taxed. Okay, and that too completely rate of 30%. Also the capital gains tax will be applied to the returns on, let's say, transactions in those virtual currencies. Okay, so that's why it is in news. And one should also understand that initially RBI took stand of completely banning this, but later on Supreme Court has said that instead of banning, you regulate that. So it revoked that ban. Okay, from that aspect you should know the RBI's concern here. What is the view of RBI? So RBI governor has clearly said that it is not good for economy, overall economy. Okay, so why it is not good for economy? Yes, the proliferation of cryptos threatens RBI's place in economy's financial system. First thing you should know that RBI is nothing but intermediary. RBI and other banks, they act as an intermediary for any kind of financial transaction. Okay, and their role as an intermediary will be eliminated when the people start using cryptocurrencies.
It will act as an alternative parallel system also.
Parallel also, and basically the cryptocurrencies are devised on this basis itself, that there will not be intermediary in the transaction. Okay, so whatever the transaction that is happening, that will be between the buyer and seller. Okay, the recipient and the sender. Okay, there will not be third party involved either.
There is no any government.
Yes, so that's why it threatens the position of RBI and overall banking system also. Okay, second thing one should understand here, that why RBI is concerned, because RBI's role, other role, important role is printing currency, and that currency is having some kind of support by the government. But these cryptocurrencies, they do not have such kind of legitimacy by the government. Why do we carry a paper note of 100 rupees and everyone is let's say transacting in that currency? Because everyone knows that the government or RBI is having the security that yes, if that note is brought to us, we will repay in same amount.
Assurance will be lost.
Yes, that assurance is given. That's why that is used as a currency note, okay, or money. Okay, but one should know that CBDC will not solve the RBI's problem, since it can only be a fiat currency and not a cryptocurrency. Yes, however, cryptos can function as money. How cryptos can function as a money? See, cryptos are limited. Money in the circulation is also limited. First thing. Okay, we know that how Bitcoin is mined, and mining of Bitcoin has subsequently become very difficult, and that's why the cost of cryptocurrencies has increased. Demand is more but supply is less. Automatically the price of cryptos has increased. Okay, so the limited nature of the currency, that's why it can be used as a money. Okay, so this is the major, we can say, point one should understand why the differences are explained here. The first difference is that the RBI CBDC, central bank digital currency, will be acting as a fiat currency. Fiat currency means basically like same the notes that we are having. So simply it is shifting to virtual currency. Shifting to virtual currency. At present we know this much information about that. But cryptos are eliminating the third party. They do not want, they have any kind of intermediaries. See, the paper currency derives its value from state backing. But cryptos derive their, let's say, value from the rich people. Let's understand that. There is no state backing for cryptos all over the world. Okay.
It is in private
yes.
holders.
But why people trust that currency? Why people want to transact in that currency?
So main thing, they are giving the high interest rates. The first main thing, it will be sharing the rapid development compared to share markets.
No, main important, the most important, that why the common people also today want to invest in the cryptocurrency, they want to transact in the cryptocurrency. There are so many ads you can see on the television. Hai na?
Number of advertisements is
yes, but the main reason that people consider it as a legitimate source money, or let's say currency, is because rich people accept.
So most of the business persons are accepted.
Rich people accept it as a medium of transaction.
And one more thing, Western countries has been accepted more.
Yes, rich people, those who are let's say having more income, they are accepting it as a, let's say, medium of exchange. Simply, let's say the article is giving one example, that let's say there is very good painting is there. Okay, there is painting, and that painting is having very high value. Why that painting is having high value? Because the rich person is ready to pay that amount.
Demand is more.
That rich person considered that it is very unique art and is ready to pay for it. Are you getting this?
Automatically that painting demand.
Yes. So its value increases in the market.
Automatically it will get high publicity also.
Yes. So because of crypto, let's say rich people accepting this cryptocurrencies as a medium of exchange, now the common people also are starting it, using it. Are you getting this? There is no state backing. Still it is popular. Why? Because of this reason. This is the difference. Then the different degree of difficulties underlying cryptos relate to the problem of double spending. This is the problem. The problem that is highlighted here is that once you spend your currency, 10 rupee note, are you able to spend that money twice? No. So in common currencies, there is no question of double spending. But in terms of virtual currencies, like cryptocurrencies, the same software can be used twice by certain people. ठीक है, जिनके पास ज़्यादा knowledge होता है उस technology का, they can use that, right? So they can use the same software and again same money can be used for other transaction. Double spending. However, this is also addressed by the cryptocurrencies. How? With the use of blockchain technology and encryption.
So can you tell me how they are going to be? Double time use means?
Double time use means basically they are using the same currency twice. How? Because it is in software, no? Okay, it is in virtual format, whether it is in any kind of, let's say, physical format.
But they will use.
So they can manipulate.
But they have some barcode unique identification.
This is designed through technology. Try to understand.
Technology having some manipulations.
Yes, technology is, that can be always loopholes in the technology, and they can be, let's say, exploited by certain people.
Example, our normal currency has been.
Normal currency also has loopholes.
Duplicate.
Yes, duplicate currencies are there, right? So in the same manner, it can be used in the virtual, but that is, eliminated with the help of this technology, blockchain technology. The underlying, we can say, security measure for cryptocurrencies is blockchain technology, and this is very foolproof at present. Okay, the decentralized ledger system that it uses, blockchain technology, it is giving all the users a permission for approving any kind of transaction. So it is not centralized. जैसे कि हम जब transaction करते हैं तो it is approved by the bank, right? It is approved by the bank, then only money goes to third party, right? So that centralized system is eliminated. Rather, the approval is by all people involved in that chain. Okay, and that's why it is decentralized. Also, ledger system, that means all information involving all transaction is there in that ledger. Okay, so it is foolproof. Yes, interlinked network, and encryption, that is the information that is being shared, it is not in a, we can say, open format. It is not, let's say, available to everyone. Rather, it is encrypted, and the one who is sending and the one who is receiving, those only know that information.
Person to person, there is no.
Yes. So that's why this is foolproof. Okay. So this issue is eliminated. The blockchain enables decentralization, that is, everyone on the crypto platform has a say, but the central banks would not want that in CBDC. Do you think that through CBDC, the RBI will try to use such kind of decentralized system?
For centralizing cross-checking is very easy now, sir. The decentralization.
Do you think that each and every transaction can be, approved or authorized by RBI?
No, sir. Present.
Billions of billions transaction happening every day, and that cannot be approved by RBI every time. So again, it is not appropriate. At present, RBI mints money, and after that it forgets. It is not approving ki one person is giving that money to other. Nahi na. So basically, for CBDC, there should be some approving authority. Okay, and that approving authority in, let's say, blockchain technology is in decentralized manner. Everyone is approving authority in that chain. Right? So what will be the method used for CBDC? This is question. Okay, and RBI or central banks would not want ki everyone is having the authority of, let's say, providing the authorization.
Okay, so they are thinking if the decentralization happen, it may have the chance to corruption, inside the data.
Corruption, or simply we can say that RBI is not going to have any say. It is not centralized. Simply understand that RBI or central banks would want a fiat currency to be exclusively issued and controlled by them. Okay, but theoretically everyone can mine and create cryptocurrencies. So here the power authority is with the people in cryptocurrencies, but be it normal currency or CBDC, the authority to mint money, create money will be kept by RBI itself, central bank itself. It will not be given to people. Are you getting this? In blockchain technology or cryptocurrencies, these are created by the people, right? So there is mining of the blockchain in the blockchain technology, and through that the money is created. Okay, and that is being done by the people, but that is not the case with the normal currency. This is the difference. Okay, a centralized CBDC will require RBI to validate each transaction, something it does not do presently. At present, it is not approving any transaction among the common people. Yes, it is, let's say, maybe approving at the larger scale between the bank and the government or something like that. But the common transactions that are happening in day-to-day life, they are not approved by the RBI.
So only local bank will clear the.
Yes, so banks are there for that purpose, right? So again, the centralized CBDC will require RBI to validate each transaction. It is very bulky, and we can say the task which will be very difficult for RBI to manage. So the next question comes here that the CBDC that will be, let's say, released by RBI in future, how it will work, the working mechanism. All over the world, many countries are working to, start with the new CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, and they are devising different mechanism. And our RBI has said that it will be based on blockchain technology again. And blockchain technology works on decentralized ledger mechanism. How it is going to work and how RBI is, going to devise the mechanism, that remains the question here. But till now, you should remember the differences.
Sir, I have one doubt, sir. The fiat currency can be created by the RBI, sir, but how the people will create the digital currencies?
That is the question again. Okay, so whether it will allow people to create digital currency, then again that will be generally central bank does not allow that. Okay, it is the only exclusive authority to print the money, right? So again, whether it will remain a mere virtual format of rupee. Okay, so that is also being questioned. सिर्फ ये अपन जो normal rupee जो होता है currency, क्या वो सेम रूपी वर्चुअल फॉर्मेट में कन्वर्ट होगा? वेदर देर इज नीड ऑफ सच करेंसीज. ऑलरेडी देर आर मेनी वॉलेट्स जिसमें हम ट्रांजैक्शन कर रहे हैं. ऑलरेडी देर आर डिजिटल ट्रांजैक्शंस हैपनिंग. ओके, सो यूपीआई इज देयर, सो व्हाई देर इज नीड ऑफ न्यू करेंसी? ठीक है, तो ये सारा जो है इस पे क्वेश्चंस आता है.
टेक्निकली वेरी प्रैक्टिकल, इट्स वेरी प्रॉब्लम.
Yes, but RBI is working on that. How to bring the solution here?
We are seeing, sir, for the metro station, one card, one bank, one card, another another bank. If a person, if you change any currency, a person will maintain minimum 5 to 6 cards as a normal person also.
Yes, but ultimately there needs to be integration. No? Ultimately there needs to be integration. Like presently the government is mooting this idea, one nation, one card for mobility. For mobility, like for example, suppose a person is traveling by plane and is let's say landing in certain city, then after that that person should be able to use the same card to book a cab, same card to book a metro, let's say buy the metro ticket, then same card for let's say buying the bus ticket. So everything should be in a one card only.
But my one of the criticism questions are, in India most of the 70% people doesn't know how to operate online.
That is part of digital literacy. Okay. Yes. Yes, that will be again on other hand the government needs to focus on work on that front also. Okay, improving digital literacy. There are several government schemes also. Digital Saksharta Abhiyan is there. Okay, for that purpose under Digital India program. Fine. Okay. Now Sri Lankan economic crisis and lessons for India. So we all know the present crisis that is going on in Sri Lanka, and yes, already we have discussed in detail about the causes and everything. But now the different aspect we are going to discuss is the lessons for India. And for understanding that, we need to understand the background of Sri Lanka. When Sri Lanka became the independent country, let's say after independence from its colonial masters, so Sri Lanka had the political arrangement that have been amalgam of nationalism in politics and welfareism in economics. And that nationalism in politics, let's say, further led to ethno-nationalism, ethnic nationalism in further decades. Ethnic nationalism is very harmful. Ethnic nationalism is based on the identity of ethnicity or religion. Okay, so here in, we can say, Sri Lanka, the Buddhist or Sinhalese speaking people, they were majority and Tamilians were minority. Okay, and these majority people had some kind of ethno-nationalism that resulted into, we can say, the civil war in the later years. Okay, so it caused the alienation of Tamil speaking population and led to formation of Tamil Tigers, LTT, and then a terrorist organization, and then the civil war happened. This was the situation during 1980s, 90s in Sri Lanka. Basically, this ethno-nationalism was, let's say, visible from one language policy. Okay, Sinhalese language was, we can say, dominated on all the people of Sri Lanka, and in that manner, let's say, there were several kind of atrocities indirectly. Economic sanctions were there, and because of that, what happened is Tamil speaking minority, Tamil people in Sri Lanka, they faced lot of problem. And there was rebellion also. There were, let's say, the people, common people fled from Sri Lanka. Okay, rich Tamilian people, they left Sri Lanka to some of the western countries, they resided there. Some common people, they entered into India, जैसे तमिलनाडु में वो आ गए थे उस टाइम पे. Okay, so although the civil war ended and the rebellion was also, we can say, completely stopped in Sri Lanka, but with the Tamils having significant presence in the professions, the country experienced the loss of expertise in almost all. Okay, so basically the participation of the Tamils in Sri Lankan economy completely reduced. Okay, and it was a significant population and their economic participation reduced. You can imagine. And there is always political tension, and because of that the economy had weak foundation since the starting itself. Okay, weak foundation. So the first lesson, it shows that the identity politics between social groups is a recipe for economic disaster in later years. Are you getting this? How economy and society is linked. And that's why the writer is saying that in India, if suppose such kind of identity politics is promoted by the government, politicians, in the society, among the social groups, then it may result into economic crisis in later years. Okay? Second thing, flawed economic policy can affect economic prospects of the country. Flawed economic, like for example in Sri Lanka, what kind of flawed economics or let's say practices, like for example, huge subsidies, lower taxes, dependence on trade or external trade, we can say, right? So all this has resulted into the present crisis. Okay, so prudent economic policies are very important for economic growth, sustainable economic growth, we can say, right? So in India, suppose we are focusing on certain economic policy, then there should be long-term vision. There should be long-term vision for that purpose. Okay, for example, at present we are facing lot of problems in edible oil sector. Huge price rise because there is dependence on imports of edible oil. India is not self-sufficient. Largely we are importing edible oil, and because of international prices are increasing.
Automatically we will get it.
Yes.
Oil production.
Yes. So we need to focus on increasing the domestic production.
Productions will
In Sri Lanka also this same thing happened. It was very much dependent on external trade for even food grains.
even food, everything they are dependent on the port areas.
Yes. So that's why flawed economic policy. Now, when welfareism is financed by borrowing rather than taxes, future generations pay for our consumption. Are you getting this? Very good statement. You can use this directly in your answer. There can be question in this statement itself. Okay, when welfareism is financed, welfareism in terms of subsidies, welfare programs, if suppose there are so many subsidies at present and such kind of subsidies or welfare programs are financed by borrowing and not raising the taxes, then basically you are paying in future, no?
So future
You are paying in EMIs, simply you are repaying in interest, and future generation is earning that interest. So basically it is paid by or repaid by the future generations. So today's consumption is repaid by the future generations. It is not good economics. Okay, so that needs to be paid through taxes, tax revenue, जो present generation ही देगा, right? So tax will be paid by the present generation, right? So this is let's say difference, and even at present in India, many states are following this policy. Okay, so much of welfare expenditure is happening and their tax revenue generation is very less, and they are paying this welfare schemes for these schemes through borrowing. This is not good economics. This lesson can be taken. ये आंसर में लिख देना है डायरेक्टली, ऐसे क्वेश्चन आता है तो. Okay, then Sri Lanka's case shows us why it can be damaging for a country to rely on trade for its essential consumption goods. Essential consumption goods जैसे food grains है. Okay, food grains. So for food grains also, if like a particular country is completely depending on the external trade, then it is not good, because there can be any supply shock in future. Internationally we know any kind of thing may happen, and that results into completely chaos in the society, because the most essential consumption good in day to day life, and if its prices rise, supply is less, then it becomes problematic. This is what is visible in Sri Lanka, and that is the, let's say, result of faulty policy. जैसे organic 100% organic state बनना था श्रीलंका को. So because of that, we can say the production has declined in last 1 year. They had to import the food grains this year. Such kind of policy is very harmful. But yes, in India, in terms of food grains, it is self-sufficient largely. Some of the commodities like edible oil we are importing at present, but for general cereal crops we are self-sufficient. But you know what is good for India? The federation. Or different states are having different, let's say, food grain productions, and this food grain production is transported throughout India.
They will not follow the single rule, so they have the different.
So surplus food grain production from one state is going to other state. Like for example, wheat production in, let's say, it's concentrated in 3 states: Punjab, Haryana, and Western UP. And 90% largely the food grain production, wheat production happens here, but it is reaching throughout India for consumption purpose, right? So this is good for India that there is federation. But when there is centralized state like Sri Lanka, centralized polity is there, that becomes the problem. Okay, the movement of food grains and all these things. Okay, so simply, yes, one should know from this, we can take or learn is that we cannot be dependent on the external trade for everything. We need to be self-sufficient, at least in basic and essential consumption goods. इसमें क्या आता है consumption good में? Food grains, then dairy sector, milk. Okay. Sri Lanka is not self-sufficient for milk production also. Okay, milk is very important or essential consumption good, we can say, for any country. So for that purpose also dairy sector is there. Then you can add in other essential goods or essential consumption goods, we can say. Okay, so yes, yes, edible oil. Okay, we need to focus on domestic manufacturing of all this. Okay, so yes, first two we are self-sufficient largely. The government needs to focus on this.
So the essential commodities, vegetable also will come as a daily consumption.
कौन सा?
Vegetables.
Yes, you can take, but vegetable in India, yes, fine. Vegetables are produced on large scale. Okay.
Some of the countries are going to be importing now.
Yes. So food grains, vegetables, fruits.
Because US and UK does not.
Medicines also come under essential consumption. ठीक है? Fine. Understood now? Okay. Next, consensus on key. Consensus is key for education. Yes, the context here is that Tamil Nadu government is going to draft its own education policy, and yes, some of the, let's say, experts suggest that such kind of state policy is coming up as, let's say, a contradiction to the central policy. And that should not happen. If suppose the state government is devising any or drafting any education policy, that should be complementing the central policy, national education policy that we are having, or any kind of, let's say, higher education policy guidelines by the central government. Fine. Okay, so at present we know that education being the concurrent in the list since 1976. Okay, so earlier it was in a state list, later it was shifted to concurrent list. Is a joint and shared responsibility of union and state government. Except we can say coordination and maintenance of standard may vest in union government, only applying to higher education. Okay, but the secondary, high and primary education is largely the responsibility of state governments, we can say. Now the problem here is that there will be inevitably differences between education policies devised for nation, for state, for district and that of school, since each level has distinct purpose. So of course there will be some differences, but all these policies should be coherent. They should be complementing each other. They should be complementing each other. That's why we are saying that complement or supplement each other. Right? Why we are saying that there can be differences? Because yes, the local factors will be coming here. Right? Differences like here you can say that particular state will add their mother tongue as the third language, compulsory language for primary education. That will be different for different states, no? Right? And also the evaluation practices may be different for different states. Even for a different district, they can be having different evaluation practices, especially for primary education. Okay, so in this manner, even at school level, the conducting exam can be different manner. Okay, so this is we can say the plan for at different levels can be different, but they should supplement each other. But the problem is related to we can say many changes in recent times in education system, especially in higher education are happening, and that's why states may be concerned. For example, recently the central government or UGC announced common university entrance test in central universities, in all central universities. Also it is optional, voluntary for all state universities to accept the score of this test. Basically the central government is looking at having one examination and one score for one nation, one examination for undergraduation admissions. Okay, and some states may not like it, because we have seen the kind of opposition for NEET admissions. Yes, Tamil Nadu government had staunchly opposed this NEET examination. Why? They feel that basically, you should know this one. Huh? Why some states are opposing this NEET?
Because their local reservation will got lost. The local people does not have the reserve capacities.
No.
Given as any national reservation of exams, the all over India people will have the access to that college. The local people,
yes, of course, the state domicile people, they will not get the representation, and if they are getting chance, they will get chance in other college in other states. So their financial burden will increase. They have to go to other state, they have to live there. Are you getting this?
That is the main problem.
Second thing you should know is that we can say those who are clearing this NEET examination, the majority of the population, almost 70%, they are from CBSE background, schooling, board, central board, okay, and remaining are from state boards. So it is skewed. That means NEET examination is giving some kind of favor to those having the CBSE schooling. Do you know about this? Same is the case for JEE examination.
JEE exam also they are targeting to
CBSE. So because their examination pattern syllabus for CBSE is much higher as compared to your state board. We all have faced this. If you are from, suppose, let's say state board,
is very
you need to prepare at a very different level for these examinations. But for those having background of CBSE, for them a little bit less efforts required.
Even present CSAT also is having the CBSE background, so maybe it will not match the
yes. So this is also one of the reasons that some states are opposing it. Okay, so it is kind of centralization and uniformization of education, and it is not liked by some states. Then data, this is what we are talking, data lends credence to their concerns that national level test for favors students coming from CBSE. You can give the example of NEET as well as JEE examination. Okay, so these are the arguments But yes, any kind of policy framed by any state that should be in line with NEP 2020, National Education Policy 2020. Yes, they can have or devise their own methodology to implement that. That can be flexible. That can be flexible and they can devise unique method. Okay, but yes, there should not be confrontation. There should not be confrontation here. This is what the writers are saying. Okay. Yes. The process of cartelization, a unique concept in economics, is explained here on text and context page. There can be question in prelims examination from economy aspect. We learn in our day-to-day life that there is cartelization in particular field of economics. Okay, like for example, we learn about OPEC organization of petroleum exporting countries. We learn that from IR related international institutions. And it is a kind of international well-known cartel for prices, deciding prices of crude oil. Okay, deciding prices of crude oil. So what is cartelization? It involves a group of businesses colluding to keep prices of the good or service high. They collude with each other. There is a pre-consensus among the producers that we will produce this much amount only, and because of that the price will be very high of that good. We can say that it is anti-competitive practices. It is against open market, competitive market, and that's why economists view it, let's say, as a threat to market economy. Let's understand what are the impacts. Okay, when the businesses cooperate with each other rather than compete against each other, there could be many adverse consequences for consumers. For example, consumers will have to pay higher prices for goods and services. We can give the example of telecom sector at present in India. Although we will not call it as a cartelization, but there is only duopoly at present. Only two major companies, Vodafone Idea and Jio. So there is no new player coming in this market. So these two countries are these two companies are deciding everything. So there is subsequent high prices we are witnessing now. दोनों prices बढ़ाते जा रहे हैं, right? So yes.
Starting they compromised for low level of price.
Yes, now they have increased. So prices of goods and services will be very high. It should be also noted the way cartels keep prices high is because of limiting the supply of their output. Okay, so production will be less. Then in the absence of any threat from the competition, cartels will also have very little reason to innovate. Okay, or cater to the consumers in a better way. Cartelization जो होता है वो innovation promote नहीं करता है. It does not promote innovation, rather it inhibits promotion. Competition promotes innovation because there is always urge to capture the market, to serve the consumers better. ठीक है? So that's why they try to continuously innovate. So competition is promoting innovation. Anti-competitive practices like cartelization, they inhibit the innovation. Okay, these are the impacts you should remember. The best example is OPEC in international market. There are many examples. Simply in Mandi, if you visit Mandi, the traders cartel with each other. There is cartels in Mandi, and artificial price rise is there of food grains.
They will decide the market price.
So they restrict the supply. The hoarding of food grains happens, right? The APMCs, the problem with mandis at present. Usual recommendation to deal with the threat of cartelization these days is to enact strict antitrust laws and create powerful antitrust body. For example, in India, it is CCI, SEBI. Competition Commission Act is there, 2002. SEBI Act is there, 1992, and the bodies, statutory bodies, these two. So basically they are ensuring that the market works in a competitive manner. There are no anti-competitive practices. There is no cartelization. This is the important mandate of these bodies. One more, let's say, aspect is explained here, that there should not be entry barrier to prevent the competitors from entering the industry. If there is entry barrier, then cartelization will continue. When there is no entry barrier, the new entrants will keep coming and they will challenge the cartels. They will continuously challenge the cartels with their innovation, and that is threat for cartels. Okay, so one of the important method is lack of entry barriers. Okay, so it should be open for entry into that market. Okay, so yes, this is sufficient discussion. Now wholesale prices inflation climbs to 14.55%. Okay, from February 13.11%. Now this has increased with let's say accelerating price rise across all categories of goods, with fuel and power as well as primary articles driving this inflation. Okay, so in fuel you can see that electricity prices have increased because of overall coal prices are very high, crude oil prices are also high. The retail inflation had hit 17-month 6.95, last week we have covered, and largely due to higher food prices. The wholesale food price index also inched marginally, but 8.71% from 8.47%. The high inflation was attributed primarily to rise of prices of crude petroleum and natural gas, mineral oils, basic metals, owing to disruption in global chain caused by Russian-Ukraine conflict. This is the major reason. Okay, remember the trend is that wholesale price index is also increasing in last 3 months, January, February, March, and for last 12 months it has remained above 10% WPI. Okay, fine. What should be answer to this question? Such kind of conceptual questions are asked in the prelims examination from economy perspective.
Not possible consequence means
It means which of the following is not going to happen because of cartelization?
first one is a confirm, sorry. First one. Increasing price of goods.
Yes, whether it will decline or increase.
The calculation will raise the prices.
Yes, so decline will not happen, no? So it is not possible consequence. Right, so this is, we can say, one of the option. Then decline in supply of goods,
No, sir.
rather it will happen, no?
One day they will stop.
So there will be decline in the supply of goods.
Decline.
So it will not, it is rather it is the possible consequence.
Possible consequences.
So that's why it is there. Decline in innovation, it is possible consequence of cartelization, decline in innovation. So we can say
They will
not is asked.
not
Deliberately I have asked not to confuse you. Possible consequence you will easily understand.
The possibility is the only stopping the goods, stopping the innovation, everything will stop, sir.
Yes.
Only the prices will only rise.
Price will high. Yes, price will.
Remaining all sections will go to down section.
Yes. Okay, so in this manner you should know the cause and effect in economics. Okay, such kind of concept based question will be asked. Yes, one only is the correct answer, A. Fine? Okay. Any question from your side?
Sir, today one news has been kept. So according to 5 states, regarding to Sri Lanka situation will come to India. Especially they targeted 5 states, sir. It is in first list in Andhra Pradesh, sir. Because of print media, what is the print media has been declared? What is the significance of that print media publications?
No,
News has been given as a, they said in the local news channel, sir, the print media has declared the some 5 states is been ready to face the situation of Sri Lanka crisis. If they are giving the more free and freebies, sir. According to present situation, world topmost freebies is the Andhra Pradesh. What is the significance of the print media publication media, sir? I am not able to understand. Why should? What example? Press Bureau of Information is there, sir, according to our information. What is the significance of press media, sir? I am not getting that one. They said print media has declared this data. CAG will give the report now, sir. We know the CAG department. What is the significance of print media, sir? I am not getting that one. I see in news.
No. See, print media is regulated by different agencies. Okay. But yes, the Press Trust of India, PTI, that is the apex body. Okay. And there is self-regulation for print media. Okay. And this is the self-regulating body. What you are talking is the data that is given in the print media, you are saying. No, that is not that important. Simply, what is the news, that is important, whether it is verified or not. Simply understand that one. Whether it is verified news, because some of the newspaper, they will not give verified.
CAG also has been declared in Parliament, sir.
Okay. Fine.
There is no any importance of press media. No. If they given any CAG report, it is important.
Yes. Okay. Fine. Okay. Let us stop.